walk today, walking through the national forest. Forestry decided they were going to clear some of the fire lanes, and it rained pretty viciously yesterday morning, so it's a little muddy in spots, but do a little walk, maybe have some lunch down by the creek, Germany Creek, central Louisiana. You can find it on your map. Maybe point out some huckleberries and some wax myrtles, better known as flea bush, because it helps repel fleas. Makes good bedding. Helps keep the fleas and ticks off of you. Some people say that if you burn it in a smudge pot, that it'll help repel mosquitoes. Well, I don't know about that. It never worked well enough for me for that. But just about any good heavy smoke will repel mosquitoes. But anyway, point out some cherry trees, wild cherry trees maybe, and there's a wild pear down here on the trail. Everything's in bloom right now. Everything's all budded out. So maybe shoot some pictures of wild azaleas and things like that. Alright guys, well, stay with me. We'll go over my gear later. Not carrying a whole lot today. Not carrying a whole lot at all. But I'll get back with you. Stay right there. Okay, well, here's our wild pear tree. There's a couple of them on this fire lane here, and spin you around here real quick. And it's already bloomed out. Can you see them? There's your little pears. There's your little pears. Give them a few months and they don't get real big. They don't get real big at all. Like I said, it's a wild pear. Probably the size of a golf ball, maybe a little bit bigger than a golf ball. But they're really, the skin is really tart, as you can imagine. But the flesh of the fruit itself is really sweet. Alright, move on down the trail. Okay, there's a dewberry blooming right there. It's not a blackberry, it's a dewberry. They grow lower to the ground, along the ground, but it's puts on a little dewberry. Raspberry looks like a little blackberry. They're pretty tart also, until they're really ripe, and then they get sweet. And right here, I can get it to focus in for you. There we go. Try to get a close-up on it. There's your wax myrtle, flea bush, as it's called around here. Like I said, you can use it for bedding, use it for your dog's bedding. A lot of hunters use it for their hounds as bedding, help keep the fleas off. It's edible. You pluck it and use it just like bay leaves. It's strong, so don't go crazy with it. But it's a seasoning. You can use it as a seasoning. It's great for venison and fish and things like that. It really reminds you, when you cook with it, it really reminds you of a bay leaf. And then right next to it, over here, it's starting to bloom out. That is Yopon there. See how close I can get up on it. And you can dry those leaves. See, it's blooming there. You can dry those leaves and make a tea out of them. They have caffeine. The leaves naturally naturally has caffeine in it. Some will tell you that it's just as much as coffee. I'm not too sure about that, but that's what I've heard. The thing about the Yaupon, to really distinguish between the Yaupon, is that the limbs, as they sprout out, they're chaotic. There's no rhyme or rhythm to them. They go every which direction. And that's one of the, and they're a harder bush, a harder, stiffer leaf, and stiffer stem. So Yaupon. You can see how it's just, I mean, it just goes every which direction. All right, move on down the trail, see what else we can find. Okay, here's a better example of your dewberry. Just kind of grows along a vine along the ground, and everywhere you see those little blooms, there'll be little black raspberry looking blackberries. Strawberries, or wild strawberries, are in bloom now too, but I don't think there's any out here. The dewberry. Okay, and this is oxalis. See the purple flowers? Keep my puppies out of the way. And these are the clover-like leaves. But you see the red in the leaf there. A lot of times the red will go all the way to the middle of the leaf. Little purple flowers. It rained yesterday, so they're not open yet. The sun hadn't really hit them yet, so they're not quite open. Very edible. Nice little trail snack. Makes nice salad. Any clover, you know, is edible. So could add that into a salad. Another type of oxalis, which is in the clover family. A little bit later in the day, these get more sun here, so the blooms are opened up. Okay, trying to get a picture of the bark here for you. You'll be able to see that tiger striped bark on it, and then it goes green as it gets smaller. A smooth, more or less smooth green bark, and it's just starting to leaf out. Get out here to the end of the limb so you can see it. It's just starting to leaf out. This is sassafras. Of course, the leaves will get bigger, and in Louisiana, you pick the leaves, dry them, grind them up to make filet seasoning, soups, gumbos, things like that. Here's another one over here. The leaves are out a little bit more. Find my hand here in the camera lens. There, it's leafed out a little bit more. You can see the shape of that leaf there a little better. They always have three different shaped leaves on the tree itself. There's going to be that three-lobed leaf. Then there's going to be, let me see here. I can get a better picture of one here. Then there'll be a smooth lobe leaf. It's just a single lobe. Now let's do it that way. It's just a single lobe like that. Okay, and here's your three-lobed. Of course, like I said, they'll get bigger. And then you're going to have one that looks like a mitten. Instead of having the three, it's going to have just a, and they're not on here yet, but it'll just be like this. It'll just have a thumb and like a mitten. But like I said, it's edible. The leaves are edible. You can eat them. You have right now they're real young and they're real tender. and they have a lemony taste almost to them. There's a whole bunch of them here. Then when they fully mature, you can dry them and use them as a seasoning, or you can dig the root and make like root beer. Sassafras. It's a multi-use plant. I don't think there's anything that's not edible on the tree, but it does have an acid. People talk about the acid that it has. Let me turn the camera around here a little bit. It does have an acid in the leaves and in the roots. Right now I can't think of what the acid is called, but they'll say that too much of the acid is not good for you. It'll upset your stomach and do this and do that, yada yada yada. I've eaten it my whole life. I've made tea and drank it my whole life. So maybe it does. Maybe if you get it, it's like apple seeds. Maybe if you eat enough of them, it'll kill you. I don't know, at one time. But I'm telling you, the roots make really great tea. The leaves are good to eat. And it also has a drying quality. Like if you would get some kind of cut or oozing wound or something, you could take the leaves, because they'll absorb liquid. You could make like a poultice or whatever, and take your bandana and wrap it around your wound. They're good for things like that, because the leaf, and don't eat too many of them because it'll make you thirsty, because the leaf is really absorbent in the plant. The tea is acidic. The root tea is acidic, but it really tastes like root beer. I like it mine with a little bit of sugar in it. Drink it cold. You pull the root, use the bark, take your knife and shave the bark off, drop it into your cup, steep it in hot water, strain it off, put a little sugar in it. It's great. Mother Nature's beverage, one of many. Okay, here's a little huckleberry bush. I looked at every one of them that I came to. This is the first one that I found that actually has fruit on it that I can show you. And there's your berries right there. Of course, they have a long ways to go. They're really good. There's not much to them as far as the berry itself. There's not much to them, but they make great pie, great jams, grape jellies. I mean, they're really good. Another one of those staple berries all over the South. They like a drier terrain up on a hill, things like that. So they're all over the piney woods here. So huckleberry, I look forward to them every year. Spring shoots off the top of little pine saplings. Of course, all the pines are doing it right now. It's early in the spring. Just break you one off, just like that. You can make tea out of them. I just like kind of chewing on them. They taste like lemon rind, high in vitamin C. Makes great tea. And like I said, this time of year, all of the little saplings, they're all over the tops. Pine shoots. Okay, here's another beneficial plant. It's the yucca. The leaves have really sharp points on them. Not now, because this is all new growth, but it has really sharp points on them, needle-like, hard. And you can also take the leaves, and they're real fibrous, so they're good for making cordage. And then later on in the summer, there'll be a big shoot that comes straight up the top that flowers out. The flowers are edible. They kind of taste like soap, but they're edible. And as you can see, there's several of them right here growing. And as long as they get the chance, they'll just keep multiplying and there'll be more and more. The yucca. And there's your wild azaleas flowers. Imagine a big honeysuckle, because that's what they smell like. And as many of them as there are down here along the creek, you can only imagine what this area smells like. It's really warm in the sun. Winds out of the north. Like I said, it rained. It rained yesterday morning early. Cold front pushed through. The wind is cool, but I hear the dogs down in the creek. But it's warm in the sun. It's really warm. Okay, get over here by the creek and make some lunch. Well, this is Germany Creek. It's the dogs are enjoying it. It's not much of a creek, but it's a spring-fed sand bottom creek. It flows year round, and you see the sandy bottom. There are some deep holes. Here's one down here. I won't say it's monstrously deep. Some more wild azaleas. You can get down here without falling in. Nice little pool there. There you can see how deep it is. The dogs are swimming. Trying to drown one another. Fish. I mean, they're not big, but like I've said before, there's water everywhere in Louisiana. Where there's water, there's food. So Germany Creek. It's on the map. Just have to look real hard for it. Okay, here we go. Figured I'd go over my gear real quick. You know, I guess before they made shirts with pockets and pants with pockets, and I hope my dogs don't knock the camera over, playing in the creek behind it, they use pouches. Get down a little bit, adjust the camera just a little bit so you can see a little bit better. They made pouches. You know, like I said, I made this little belt pouch here. You know, it's leather. They made pouches. So, but today, anyone who watches any of my videos knows I'm a big fan of the pockets. So you have cargo pants, you have 5-pocket jeans, you jackets. This is a downed vest that I'm wearing here that's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pockets in it. So anything you need, you can just stuff in a pocket. Here's a little bedroll of sorts that I have. Actually, it's a extreme cold weather jacket, no liner in it, and there's a wool shirt in there. My tarp is in there, and a beanie and a pair of wool gloves is in there. I mean, I didn't plan on staying out overnight, but I'm always prepared. So with this pocket, I have my water filter. Which I'll be using here later. I probably won't film that, but it's just a Sawyer water filter. Love pockets, I'm telling you. Love pockets. What else we got here? Headlamp, leather gloves, 4 tent stakes, I'm stuck in my gloves. And like I said, this is my food in my belt pouch, my food. I could stay out overnight and have plenty of food, not to mention what I could catch in the creek. So I have my Mora. I have my Mora on my belt. It's a 711, I think, model. I think, if I remember right. I've had it for a few years. And I have an equipment belt, military equipment belt, and on it is my canteen. Can you see that? Maybe do this one here. Just a little bit. There you go. There's my pouch. You can see it now. And there's my Molly pouch, canteen cup, and stove. In the little pockets on the side, I have 550 cord on one side. I have a knife sharpener on the other side. Magnesium bar, which we're going to use here in a minute. And a big lighter in there. So there you go. I have enough stuff on me right now that if I chose to stay out overnight, I could with no problem. But that's not my plan today. My plan was just to do a little walk around, show you guys some edibles and some things that are blooming in our area. So anyway, there you go. Peel some layers off here and break out some lunch. Get a fire going. Okay, well, there's my firewood. I didn't gather enough to stay all night. I just gonna cook up a ramen noodle for lunch real quick. But you know what they say when you're gathering firewood? Gather what you think you need, then get 3 times as much. That way you don't wake up in the middle of the night freezing to death with no fire because you have no wood. Pretty good rule of thumb. Gather what you think you need, then gather 3 times as much. The ground is wet down here around the creek, so I had to put my knees up on a little stick here. There's a piece of wood in the ground underneath the sand, and it's just as wet as the sand. So anyway, so in my kit, I always have pieces of lighter pine or fat wood, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, this is a Harbor Freight magnesium bar. A lot of people don't like them, and I don't understand, but we'll get to that in a minute. Here's my Mora. I ground the back edge off because everybody knows it's round, and it's to get a good spark off any ferro rod or flint and steel. You need to shave the back edge and grind the back edge off. Just enough to make it flat. Don't go crazy. I have my tinder bundle. First thing we're going to do is we're going to shave down. If I can keep my puppies away from my camera and away from my fire bed. We're going to take this and we're just going to shave it down, little fine shavings. This is essentially our tinder right here. See if I can set it on this block, make it easier to shave off here. Put it in that chain hole. Oh yeah, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. A nice little pile going here. If you end up with a feather stick at the end, that's fine too. That's not what I'm going for. I mean, as you can see, it sort of happened that way, but that's not what I'm going for. And in the piney woods of Louisiana, this stuff is just literally laying around everywhere. All you have to do is look. Let me set that off to the side there. I don't need that one, that's for sure. In fact, I passed several stumps of lighter pine on the way down here to the creek. So, go ahead and just split that up into pieces there. Okay. Now, you want to take this magnesium bar using the back of your knife, and just get you some shavings down there. Right beside, maybe a little bit on top of, especially like today if the ground's wet. And you do not need a lot. You do not need a lot. Not with fatwood or ladder pine. You do not need a lot. Just about the amount of a dime. You don't want it on top of it, but you want it really, really close. And stack all these little shavings up there, because the magnesium bar is just acting, the magnesium from the bar is acting as a match. And all you're doing is lighting that lighter pine. Go ahead and put this back over here. Throw the sparks right down on top of the magnesium. You can't get much easier than that, guys. Just can't get much easier than that. Can you see that? There we go. Harbor Freight magnesium bar. You just have to know how to know your equipment. That's all it is. Just know your equipment and know how to use it. Nice thing about the canteen stove, canteen cup, canteen stove. When you want to boil your water or cook anything, you can just set it right into the fire. Get you a couple of nice sized sticks and lay down there in the fire, and you can boil water up in no time, because the cup is up off of the flame, up off the bed of coals. So you get more flame to the cup that way. Well, that's about it for this trip, guys. I'm gonna sit here and eat my lunch, maybe make a cup of coffee afterwards, and then head on back. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.